It's been a whirlwind couple of years, that's for sure. My name's Laurie and I'm 27 years old, originally from England. I had to get away from my abusive ex-husband and escape to America with my 3-year-old daughter, Adelaide. Talk about a scary situation, packing up and fleeing across the pond all alone with just a toddler in tow. But I'm so glad I did it. Staying would have just subjected my baby girl to more trauma, witnessing that toxic environment. At least in the States, I had some family to help us get on our feet. Those first few months here was so tough, though, trying to get settled, find a job, all the while dealing with the emotional turmoil of leaving behind everything I'd ever known back in the UK. There were nights I'd cry myself to sleep, wondering if I'd made a huge mistake. How could I provide a good life for my daughter practically on my own in a strange new country? I never thought I'd take a chance on love again after what I went through with that monster ex of mine. The physical and mental scars from his abuse ran so deep, you know. It felt like part of me had just closed off and accepted that I'd be a single mom struggling to make ends meet forever. But then, a few months after arriving in the States, I met Reed, and my entire world shifted. He's a 30-year-old baseball player, a total hunk with arms like tree trunks. Stupid handsome, you know. He had this undeniable charisma about him, too, that just drew me in from the moment we met through a mutual friend I had managed to make at the airport. Talk about small worlds, huh? We hit it off instantly. His smile, his charm, his sense of humor, it all worked its magic on me hard and fast. I tried to take things slow at first, though. Didn't want to rush into anything after my traumatic past, especially with Adelaide to think about. My baby girl had already been through enough. I'm just not sure I'm ready to put myself out there again after everything. It's been really tough. Of course, I'll take it at whatever pace you need. I just think you're wonderful, though, and Adelaide is a total sweetheart. I'd love to spend more time with both of you. I can't stop thinking about you. You make me so happy. Ladies, take note. This is what we call love bombing. Anyway, I try not to beat myself up too badly about all of this because I don't know any better. And how could I? Reed was just different, you know. Ugh, aren't they all at first? So be patient and understanding about my situation as this beat-down single mom just trying to get her life back on track. And from day one, he adored Adelaide. He was a total natural with her in a way I'd never seen from a guy before. Not even her own father had a better grip on her than he did. Seeing how amazing Reed was with my daughter definitely made me fall for him hard. Call it trauma bombing or downright stupidity, but before I knew it, we started dating after 3 months of knowing each other. Things were going great and I couldn't have been happier. We were moving really fast, but you can't see red flags when you wear rose-colored glasses, right? So just 8 months after going steady, this too-good-to-be-true baseball hunk of a stud got down on one knee and proposed. We were on vacation in Fiji, and that's when he popped the question right on the beach in the dead of night, with the beach lit up with all these beautiful candles. I was over the moon, completely dazzled. For the first time, I really felt like I could have a family I'd always dreamed of, a loving partner and a stable home for Adelaide. I mean, I couldn't be a single mom forever, right? I didn't deserve that, and neither did Adelaide. When we arrived back home from our little vacation, his mother greeted me with beaming eyes. I was so shocked to see someone so accepting and kind. She was your typical American mother, plump and kind, just a bowl of happiness ready to give and give and give, and she absolutely adored Adelaide. She would always take care of her, which is what she did when we went to Fiji. And when I came back, Adelaide was as happy as could be, telling me that she enjoyed her time with her Gram? Oh, couldn't you just die? She's such an adorable sweetheart. She started calling me that after you two left. Oh, bless her heart. Soon she'll be calling me Daddy. What? You proposed? Oh, Reed, you said you'd do it when I was present. I wanted to see the look on her face. Sorry, Mama, that was the plan, but, well, I just couldn't help it. I just couldn't go one more day knowing that I didn't claim her as mine. My fiancé, and very, very soon, she'll be my wife. Oh, my goodness, I'm still reeling from everything. I just can't believe that you'd want to be with someone like me. Well, you better believe it, baby. I'm in this for the long haul. You're everything to me. I can't believe I met you, but I'll thank my lucky stars every day. We moved right into Reed's gorgeous house right after the proposal. I thought that it was high time I stopped leeching off my very gracious aunt who was taking care of us. I wish I listened to her when she told me that we were moving too fast and that I should be careful. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten into this mess, but you live and you learn, I guess. Everything seemed absolutely perfect at first. He showered us both with so much love, affection, and thoughtfulness, not to mention gifts, a whole truckload of gifts, especially for wee baby Adelaide, who just couldn't get enough toys. I'd never experienced this before, so I was lapping it all up. We started planning this lavish wedding ceremony, and his pro baseball career was really taking off, too, especially when we were out and about, being snapped occasionally by some paparazzi. He had some worries about making it big, considering he was already 30 years old, but I believed in him, and he was doing everything in his power to put himself out there and make people know his name. But I didn't care if he was going to be the next Babe Ruth. I was just deliriously happy with my man, you know, like I'd finally found the light at the end of a long, dark tunnel. That's what made the truth about Reed and his mother so hard to accept when I discovered it, and why I was completely blindsided by the whole sickening thing. It all started when I was on our home computer one random afternoon, just trying to find some remote job opportunities online or build a hobby I could monetize, like a blog or something. I still wanted to have my own income stream, some sense of independence, you know. Well, I pulled up the email app without thinking, since Reed had left it open after using the laptop earlier that day, and that's when I saw it. A bunch of emails from his mother, Gail, that just made my blood run ice cold. She kept going on about how she knew ways to get rid of me, talking all this sickening smack. My heart plunged straight into my stomach reading lines like that. It brought me right back to those darkest days with my abusive ex, when I lived in constant fear of setting him off and suffering his rage. I started shaking uncontrollably, feeling sick to my very core, because in those emails, Gail talked about planting false evidence to make it look like I was an unfit mother who abused sweet little Adelaide. Her whole plan, which apparently Reed was in on too, was to turn him into a single dad caring for his daughter alone. Why? So he could be rebranded as this upstanding all-American hero in the public eye instead of some washed-up athlete with a troubled past. Don't you see, sweetie? This works out perfectly. We'll start now so that when the time comes, let's say in about a year or so, the judge won't even entertain any idea of giving her any custody. By the time we're done with her, she'll wish she was back home with her baby daddy. We need to be careful about this, Ma. This could go really bad if we don't think of every single step. Don't you worry, sweetie. This is going to work out just fine. She's so gullible, too. What sort of woman would sign her life away to a man she hasn't even known for a year? What did I tell you, Mom? It's the glitz and the glam. She thinks I'm swimming in cash, but she won't know what hit her when she sees me on a yacht while she's rotting away in prison. Apparently, my future mother-in-law thought positioning Reed as a sympathetic single father would be amazing PR that could revive his baseball career. Just crazy. She wanted to cover up some old drug charges Reed supposedly had by totally flipping the narrative, making him out to be this beacon of virtue solely dedicated to raising this kid after his wife, me, was outed as an abusive monster. Can you even believe that? Using an innocent child as nothing more than an image ploy. It made me feel disgusted. For most of my life, I'd been the one abused and mistreated, the one cowering in fear, but not this time. I wasn't just going to sit back and let them try to take my baby from me based on a bunch of twisted lies. I knew I had to play things smart here and gather as much evidence as I could first before making my next move. Over the next several days, I became almost obsessive going through all the saved emails between Gail and Reed over and over again. With each new revolting piece of their sinister plot I uncovered, I felt more and more sickened by what these two people I trusted were capable of. It was like I'd been transported into some nightmarish parallel dimension where your own loved ones could be conspiring to rip your world apart. That's when I stumbled across one particular email where Gail reminded Reed to delete the home security camera footage from a couple of nights earlier. Apparently the punk had some kind of surveillance system installed without me knowing about it. His response to that email from dear old Mom, silence. He never said whether he'd gotten around to scrubbing that security tape. Well, that just opened up a gold mine of opportunity for me, didn't it? I waited until the next day when I knew he'd be gone to go on some press tour to make my move. I went rummaging through the security system. And sure as hell, there was crystal clear video from a few nights prior of Reed and his mother discussing their whole sick plan to take Adelaide from me. With my own eyes, I witnessed Reed readily going along with this whole demented scheme to flip the script and paint me as a danger to my own flesh and blood. Then we'll pin the drugs on her. Yes, exactly. We'll say that you were protecting her all these years and that you knew her from a long time ago, and that those drug charges I got were actually meant to be hers, but I was just covering for her. Oh my goodness, you're a genius. The ladies will eat that all up. Who knows, maybe you'll even get a better looking girl at the end of all of this when the ladies realize just how amazing you are. It would be even better if we get her hooked on it sooner, though. So, when would you want to start? Right after we get married. Not before? It might be suspicious. No one would suspect that I would sabotage my newlywed wife. It has to look legit, Mom. You're right. So how will you do it? You know how she enjoys her glass of wine every night? I'll start by stating that. You better make sure to do it somewhere with no cameras. Honestly, I don't even know why you've rigged the place like it's the goddamn Pentagon. Damn it, the cameras are watching us right now, huh? Yeah? Okay. Whatever, it's fine. I'm pretty sure the broad doesn't even know how to work a computer anyway. Just make sure you delete this, okay? She was looking around to find the camera in the corner of the room. Don't worry, Ma. I never forget to scrub anything I don't want people to see. We'll be fine. Well, apparently not, dear Reed. Apparently not. At that moment, watching those two people who I'd loved and trusted behave like unfeeling monsters, it was like a veil had been lifted. I saw Reed for the first time as nothing more than a calculated liar and master manipulator who'd played me like a damn fiddle in pursuit of fame and relevance. As for Gail, she was certifiable. This wicked shell of a woman who'd turn on her own grandchild just to selfishly further her son's failing career prospects. I copied that security cam footage over to a flash drive right then and there, trying to stay as calm as I could despite feeling utterly enraged. As much as I wanted to just explode on Reed and Gail in that moment, hurling obscenities and insults while flinging every last possession of theirs out a window, I knew that wouldn't accomplish anything. They just deny everything, try to gaslight me the same way abusers always do, or much worse, maybe they'd harm me or even Adelaide. This was a whole new ballpark, nothing like my abusive, dirt-poor ex. These people had money, and if they were planning on planting false evidence on me, I'm sure they'd be able to do it in such a perfect and seamless way, making me look crazy because they could pay whoever to say and do whatever. Very scary stuff. I needed to catch them red-handed somehow, get this vile pair to openly admit to their twisted scheme in a way that could never be disputed, a way that would completely destroy their credibility while proving my innocence beyond any shadow of a doubt. It was risky, but I started formulating a plan that would expose them as the depraved liars they were on an enormous stage. Our engagement party was coming up in a couple of weeks, an event sure to be attended by dozens of Reed's teammates, managers, various media people covering his baseball exploits, assorted family members, and whoever else. So in those days leading up to the party, I tried to act as normal as humanly possible around Reed and Gail. As hard as it was, I put on a brave face, pretending like nothing was wrong whenever they were around Adelaide and me. I didn't want to risk spooking them at all, potentially causing those snakes to try and move in desperation before I could pull off my expose. Finally, the night of the big engagement bash arrived. My nerves were basically shuttered window blinds at that point, but I had to keep up the facade of a beaming, excited, soon-to-be bride in front of the guests. My heart was pounding out of my chest, but I knew I had to do what I needed to do if it ever meant escaping. I wasn't going to wait for it to get worse like last time. It was time to make those two pay for the unforgivable hell they tried to put me and my daughter through. Once everyone had shown up, the fancy party area was packed full of Reed's minor league teammates, some media reporters from local sports outlets, various family members and other hangers-on there to revel in the festivities. The smug look on Gail's face as she surveyed the crowd of oblivious people made me want to vomit. But I contained my seething rage as the MC took the mic to officially kick off the festivities. Thanks for being here, everyone. Let's get us started. I'd like to invite the wonderful couple of honor, Reed and Laurie, to come up and say a few words. With a big fake smile plastered across my face, I grabbed the mic first before Reed could react. I told the guests, actually, before we start the speeches, I have a little surprise I've been working on for my wonderful fiancé, a special video compilation, if you will, looking back at our beautiful love story so far. The audience awed and oohed at my words, and Reed looked at me with surprise, but quickly masked it with feigned care. But after knowing what I knew that this was all just a facade. It made me sick to my stomach. Gail also looked a bit surprised, knowing that this wasn't part of the schedule. I'm sure they thought that I was that obsessed with him, making a lovey-dovey video because they were my saviors, but they didn't know what was coming. I went to the media booth that held the MC and the DJ and passed the flash drive that I had been holding on to dear life for the last couple of weeks. It was finally time. Those first few damning seconds began playing out of the speakers. Gail's shrill voice, crystal clear, callously talking about all the messed up things they had planned for me and my daughter, how they were going to falsely paint me as an abuser and try to take Adelaide away. I watched as Reed was startled, jumping up from his seat like he just sat on a hot potato. Everyone was listening intently to what was being said. Some were chuckling uncomfortably, thinking it was an act or something, so I had to clarify. Not too long ago, I discovered the real reason why Reed and Gail were just over the moon excited to be part of me and my baby's life. They were trying to use me, to use my baby girl for their own gain, and this is the proof. Everyone was murmuring now, and Reed was shooting daggers my way, wanting to lash out, but wanting to save face as he could hear the paparazzi cameras clicking away at the drama that was unfolding. Everyone was shifting uncomfortably in their seats, murmuring, looking appalled while their vile secrets were suddenly blaring for everyone to hear. He seemed paralyzed all of a sudden, searching for an ally in the crowd, but it looked like even his teammates were perplexed at this behavior. He was as pale as a ghost. He looked stupid, like a deer caught in blinding headlights. Gail was pale too, not believing what was happening. I'm pretty sure she was mentally cursing Reed out for not deleting that footage as she asked. I guess somewhere in dreamland she realized something, because that's when Gail finally snapped out of her stunned trance and gunned for the booth, trying to unplug the screen that was held up and shut the whole thing down. But it was too late. You evil, deranged hag. Everyone had already heard the majority of the footage, and the people were not pleased one bit. Somebody stop this right now. DJ, pull the plug. I order you. I'm paying you, damn it. Gail shrieked at the top of her lungs, stumbling forward as fake hysterics overtook her bony frame. At the same time, Reed just stood there with his jaw hanging open, seemingly incapable of forming any coherent words to explain away the despicable conspiracy that had been exposed. Boos and shouts of disgust immediately filled the entire venue as the assembled crowd absorbed what they were witnessing. The up-and-coming hotshot baseball star with his ever-loving and supportive mother revealed as total frauds who had been planning to set me up as an abusive mother just to cover for Reed's tarnished reputation. People started loudly accusing him and his mother of being grifters, con artists, and abusers. It wasn't looking pretty. The media people scrambled to capture the shocking implosion that was unfolding right before their eyes. I just stood there, a satisfied grin spread across my face, as those two repulsive snakes I'd somehow fallen for had their true appalling colors bared for all to see. The celebratory mood at the engagement bash was officially in the gutter. Nice job, you heartless sociopaths. Reed finally seemed to regain just enough of his senses to attempt some half-hearted, last-ditch damage control. It's just a prank, everybody. You know me and my mom. We're just joking around. We would never do that. Come on, dude. After that clear-as-day recording, did he really think people were going to buy that laughable excuse? Not a chance. Get out of here, you freaks! A gruff voice hollered from the back of the crowd. That kick-started an all-out descent into total chaos as the party devolved into an uncontrolled riot seemingly within seconds. I guess nothing is off limits in the days of cancel culture, hey? The people were essentially forming a mob, and they weren't going to stand for this blatant misogyny and hatred. Furious guests started flinging drinks and whatever else they could get their hands on at Reed and Gale, while others tore down decorations in a mad fury at having their trust so violently violated by the celebrated couple. I'd never witnessed such a frighteningly unrestrained display of public outrage in my entire life. No less at an engagement party. To be fair, it was mainly the paparazzi who were causing the ruckus, no doubt trying to dial everything up because they knew that this juicy story would hit everyone hard in the tabloids and websites tomorrow. It was like somebody had pulled the pin on an anarchy grenade and the entire venue had instantaneously descended into chaos. Gail was reduced to nothing more than a shrieking, crumbling mess in the middle of it all, shouting incoherently at the MC to shut everything down while scrambling to avoid the torrent of garbage raining down on her, her fancy updo becoming increasingly frazzled. Reed clearly saw which way the wind was blowing and tried taking off, but it was no use. All eyes and all lights were on him, and he was left there blubbering like a fool, trying to come up with some BS excuse on why he would prank me like that. Just pathetic. I stood there proud, holding my baby, making my way towards a quieter area because little Adelaide was getting scared, understandably so. Social media people tried following me to ask me some questions, but I simply produced another flash drive I had stashed away with all the emails I had collected from those idiots. They promptly left me alone to scramble to find a computer so that they could see everything. For once, I didn't have to look over my shoulder, worried about suffering more abuse or not being believed when I tried revealing the ugly truth. The damning evidence had spoken for itself, blasting Reed and Gale's deranged lies out for the whole world to finally see. I hurried back home to pack what little belongings we had. Leaving everything behind and calling my aunt, I finally felt relief, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. A weight that had been there for far too long, really. The constant stress and fear of having to walk on eggshells around toxic, volatile people, of having my reality constantly questioned and gaslighted until I started doubting my own self-worth. But not anymore. That agonizing cycle of abuse and manipulation had been shattered into pieces like a skipping record finally being smashed and broken. I was free. Adelaide was safe. Those were the only things that mattered. In the days and weeks following the engagement party implosion, the fallout was about as messy and protracted as you'd expect. Reed did a whole tour of various interviews and podcasts, trotting out a rotating cast of high-priced lawyers, PR reps, and crisis managers as he tried fruitlessly to regain control of the narrative. To absolutely nobody's surprise, he oscillated between feigning contrition and innocence, flashing that phony "aw shucks" grin that had initially charmed me into letting my guard down. He claimed the recordings had been edited and taken out of context, that it was all just a misunderstanding blown way out of proportion by yours truly. Yeah, nice try, buddy, but the court of public opinion had already convicted you. Everyone could see you were nothing more than a hollowed-out husk trying to gaslight yet another victim. And with those emails backing everything up, yeah, he was done. As for Gale, she more or less went into full-on hermit mode after that fateful engagement party. Can't say I was terribly surprised. The vicious wrath of the internet absolutely terrorized her once the truth about her scheme came out. Memes and parody video edits portraying her as a cackling Disney villain-esque mother-in-law proliferated across every social media platform. Reporters camped outside her house for weeks, hungry for any pearl of comment or reaction about her involvement in the most unhinged family drama the world had ever witnessed. Lawsuits were threatened and complaints filed with the police about alleged harassment, but nothing really made a dent. She'd been exposed as a monstrous fraud who tried to destroy her own grandchild's life just to selfishly resuscitate her son's stagnant career, and the collective internet was not keen on letting her forget that anytime soon. Gale had tried to portray herself as some upstanding, genteel Southern woman, but all anyone saw now was the truth. Just an absolute soulless ghoul who deserved all the scorn headed her way. For my part, I was just relieved to be out of the spotlight and able to move forward with putting that waking nightmare family in the rear view. Sure, I did a few obligatory TV interviews in the immediate aftermath to help cement the public record with the truth. A lot of it was fairly indelicate, going over the abuse I'd suffered with my ex, my initial misgivings about Reed once I stumbled on those emails, the works. But I didn't care about humiliating them any further or clout chasing for fame off the back of their stunning fall from grace. My only aim was to reestablish my credibility and make it unequivocally clear that I was the real victim in all this. The evidence proved beyond any shadow of a doubt how Reed and his mother had engaged in a long-running plot to undermine and separate me from my own daughter. We did some counseling. both one-on-one for me and with a child psychologist for Adelaide to help her process the dramatic events we'd been through. I didn't want her to internalize any of the trauma or feelings of uncertainty that had rocked our little family. I'm so grateful for my aunt because without her, we'd have no place to go. I'm planning on suing, even with his army of lawyers. As I said, the evidence is irrefutable, and with his previous drug charges, I'm sure the judge will see right through him and his lies. Wish me luck, you guys.